What if all you had to do to plan your wedding was simply show up with your marriage license? At Simply Eloped, your dedicated planner takes care of every detail so you don't have to. They've helped over 14,000 couples say I do across 37 epic U.S. locations with all-inclusive packages and 700 plus incredible vendors. From a Hobbit-themed wedding in a state park to an intimate ceremony on a sandy beach at sunset, make it your kind of wedding. Start your big day at simplyeloped.com. That's simplyeloped.com.
Need a last-minute gift for that animal lover in your life? Well, the Cat Adoption Team, also known as CAT, has the perfect gift for cat lovers this holiday season. Their 2026 Cat Calendar showcases a different feline photo each month. All of the featured cats and kittens were adopted from CAT. Plus, your purchase supports CAT's programs and services for cats, kittens, and people in our community. To purchase this $20 2026 Cat Calendar, visit catadoptionteam.org/cat calendar. Love cats, do good, support local. As 2025 comes to a close, we're reflecting on everything that we've lived through this year in the city. So today on CityCast Portland, me and Giulia Fiaoni are joining our host, Claudia Meza, to discuss our picks for the biggest, wildest, and most surprising things that happened in our city this year. And afterwards, stick around. Claudia is being joined by Ivan Hernandez, the Oregon Food Bank's Digital Communications and Engagement Manager, for a short conversation sponsored by the Oregon Food Bank. It's Tuesday, December 23rd. I'm executive producer John Notarianni, and this is what Portland's talking about.
Giulia, John, thanks for joining me this morning to talk about our city's most memorable moments of 2025. How are you guys doing?
Good. We made it through 2025.
Yes.
Cannot believe it. Good job, everybody. We survived.
I cannot believe it either, actually.
Can you see my face? This is how good I survived. I'm just like...
Claudia's grimacing slightly.
Just barely getting through the last couple weeks here.
Before we dig in, though, I wanted to hear about your more personal, memorable moments that maybe didn't get covered in the Oregonian or the Willamette Week. Should have, but did not. Giulia, you want to kick us off?
That's hilarious thinking that this would get covered in Willamette Week. One of my favorite Portland memories from this year was taking my little sister around for her 21st birthday. She visited me all the way from Montreal, and I actually listed everything that we did that felt very Portlandy, and it ended up being 21 different things in 10 days. It was amazing. And just to name a couple of those things that are on that list, we went to the Enchanted Forest, we went to a farmer's market downtown, Mount Tabor Dance. It just goes on and on. It was so sweet and so special. I adore my little sister. It was such a nice time.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I met her once and I'm like, she's great.
No, she's a party.
I do have pictures of her partying with my dog.
Yes.
What about you, John?
I mean, I am dismayed that this was not covered in a year-end wrap-up by Willamette Week or the Oregonian, but I'm just thinking about 503 Day, man. With the party that we threw along with the city on May 3rd. I mean, it was just such an amazing time and such an incredible outpouring of community and joy, and it was super fun. It actually feels like it was 10 years ago. I had to double check. I was like, wait, that was this year, right? That wasn't forever ago. But yeah, man, 503 Day was such a blast.
Yeah.
It was.
Kind of similar to you, John. When I was thinking about this question, I had to look at a calendar because I didn't realize how many personal moments, amazing personal moments I had in Portland this year, partially because of you two and this show. I mean, 503 Day was huge. Would have been my pick if you didn't steal it. But up there, I gotta say, on a very personal level, was throwing the first pitch at the Pickles game because it involved my sister, also my sister, flying in to witness it. We are a baseball family, so she did build a visit around it. She also brought my niece, so I looked sort of cool in front of her. It was a huge win for me.
My sister came to 503 Day, too. So we are 3 for 3 on sister involvement.
Sisters! But also, it was a member event, so I got to meet some of our amazing CityCast Portland neighbors. It was just the freaking sweetest day. Yeah. Family, friends, it was awesome. All right, well, now that everybody knows about us,
and our sisters.
And our sisters. Let's jump in. Julia, what was your pick for one of Portland's biggest moments of the year?
Yes, this one shouldn't come as a surprise to everyone. I'm talking about the ongoing protests at the ICE facility, but most notably, the Portland Frog, the Portland Chicken, and the emergency naked bike ride. So all of this research that I did just to kind of wrap this up and talk about those key moments comes from Willamette Week, the Oregonian, the New York Times, OPB, and K2. So this all started on September 27th when President Trump announced that he was ordering federal troops to Portland to protect our, quote, war-ravaged city. And of course, local leaders like Governor Tina Kotek and Mayor Keith Wilson were like, what are you doing? No, we don't need your help. Everything's fine. And this all came out of a very, very small amount of protesters who were regularly going to the ICE facility on the South Waterfront to address all of the awful, terrible things that are going on with ICE in our city, breaking apart families and causing a lot of problems. After that announcement happened, the protests did grow, but they never got violent. The only examples of violence that were put out there were excessive use of force by ICE and DHS agents. I actually went and witnessed this myself. Portland Rite of Passage, I got tear gas for the first time this year, which was a terrible experience.
I'm sorry, we're laughing, but it's so sad to be like, it's a Portland Rite of Passage. I got
it's
tear
so silly.
gas.
I knew it was when I was talking about it to my therapist, and he's like, yeah, I've been there. And I'm like, damn, this really is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Portland therapists have seen some things, yeah.
So over those months, we all know Portland carried on. We really leaned into our whimsy as best as we could. So starting with the Portland Chicken, his real name's Jack Dickinson. He's 26, and he had started protesting at the Tesla dealership all the way back in February. But he gained global fame when we got a visit from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. There's this classic video of her just standing on top of the roof, staring down at a teeny tiny group of protesters, some journalists, and the Portland Chicken. This was on October 7th. And that same week, we were introduced to the Portland Frog. His real name is Seth Todd, which is funny. He goes by Toad now. He's 24 years old. And the video that was made globally famous was him being sprayed in the vent of his inflatable frog costume by an ICE agent at the ICE facility. And this made it so that the frog became a protest symbol pretty quickly all across the US, especially in Chicago and Austin. Frogs were showing up at protests, and just the image of the frog became this symbol of resilience. And then that same week, on October 12th, this was all the same week in October, the emergency naked bike ride happened. And this got the attention of even The Daily Show. Jordan Klepper came to the naked bike ride and actually wrote in it himself. There's a whole segment out that came out earlier this month that I just watched that is really hilarious and just very accurate as to what was actually happening at those protests at their peak. But it really didn't stop there. Operation Inflation was what we called it. We had unicorns, panda bears, clowns dancing, dinosaurs, squids, just showing up to these protests and around town for weeks on end. And there were a couple of really hilarious groups too that came through. There was a salsa dancing class, an 80s aerobics group, a cha-cha slide flash mob, a whole marching band wearing banana costumes. And it caught the attention of the Trump administration. There was actually a quote in a statement that was released at that time by one of the spokespeople for the Department of Homeland Security that described the costumes as a bizarre effort to obstruct ICE law enforcement, and that these, quote, unsightly tactics won't stop or slow us down, which is hilarious just to think that it's just a bunch of naked people and people in costumes. But this is all to say, there was still a lot of serious movement going on around this. U.S. District Judge Karen J. Immergut went head-to-head with Trump, blocking multiple attempts he made to send the National Guard here without evidence or purpose. And still, as we're recording today, there have been no troops officially deployed, and our city is still just as wonderful and peaceful as it was. But obviously, the issue is far from over in terms of ICE involvement here. The most up-to-date numbers reveal that government agents alone made over 560 immigration-related arrests in the Portland area in October, and hundreds of families and neighbors are feeling the effect of this. While I did notice driving by the ICE facility, there are still a few protesters coming out night after night, so I don't think that this headline is even close to over. This is something that we're going to continue well into the new year.
I mean, the whole period of October just feels like such a fever dream at this point,
Yeah.
because it was both this wild whimsy, this sort of like burst of exuberance across the city, and an extraordinary amount of fear and confusion as well about this threat of federal intervention.
Yeah.
And it just felt so loaded for, a month, 6 weeks, until the whole thing sort of just tapered off. But there also is still this sort of latent threat of like, this issue isn't over, even if the dialogue around it and the conversation has slowed down significantly. I think absolutely this is the story of the year. This is what we're going to remember when we look back on 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't mention the turn of the century lady having tea, which was one of my personal favorites, because why?
There's so many examples. I couldn't possibly list them all.
Yeah. Oh, no,
in
for
such
sure.
a short segment. But I do have a clip from one of our regular contributors who had a pretty memorable moment interacting with both the frog and the chicken. And I'm going to play that right now.
This is Rachel Saslow of Willamette Week. I think my most Portland moment of 2025 was in October when I went down to the ice building off Macadam. And I was interviewing the Portland chicken, but my editor had told me to try to get the Portland frog. So I was looking for a frog, and then a unicorn ran by. And it was just, I didn't know if I should be laughing. I didn't know if I should be scared. Everything was really still pretty crazy at that point. And if I was looking back at 2025, I would think about that night and be like, yep, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. That's so real.
Just to know you're on assignment and there's just all these people in costumes. I think people don't understand how surreal it is sometimes to report stuff. You're just like, yep,
no,
here
really
we are.
And it is your job to make sense of this chaos, to be like, to create a clear narrative. Yeah.
Trying to get the timeline of all this too. I was like, what came first, the Portland frog or the Portland chicken? I was like, oh my God, the same week as the naked bike ride? This is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to say I know that this is a tough thing to process for everyone because it's this like, it really captures the whimsy of our city and the lightheartedness of how we approach things in community. But there is still a lot going on and a lot of families that are really suffering right now. And I just wanted to put out there, if you do see ICE agents in your community, if someone is being detained or you yourself need urgent help, you can call the Portland Immigrant Rights Coalition or the PIRC hotline at 1-888-622-1510. Just something to have in your phone. Just put it in your phone right now, and you may not know when you need it.
We could just also link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good number to have saved in your phone.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Julia. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, more of Portland's biggest moments of the year.
When the unexpected happens, a serious injury, a catastrophic crash, or even a wrongful death, the impact isn't just personal. It can affect families, neighborhoods, and the safety of our entire community. In those moments, you deserve more than legal help. You deserve advocates committed to making Portland safer for everyone. At Diamore Law Group, you're not just getting a lawyer. You're getting a trial team led by veteran attorney Tom Diamore, who has spent over 30 years holding corporations, negligent drivers, and unsafe institutions accountable. From investigating what went wrong to bringing in experts and taking cases all the way to trial, they do the work it takes to protect their clients and prevent the next tragedy. And you don't pay unless they win. Contact Diamore Law Group at 503-222-6333 or visit Diamore Law to schedule a free consultation. They're here to stand up for individuals and for a safer Portland.
Friends don't let friends drink and drive, and here in Portland, that message really matters because nearly half of our traffic deaths involve impairment. The Portland Bureau of Transportation, though, is working really hard to make our streets safer. So this New Year's Eve, you can celebrate responsibly by taking a safe ride home. PBOT is offering $10 off your Uber and Lyft trips that start in the city of Portland from 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve through 4 a.m. on January 1st, all while supplies last. You can get your discount code starting on December 31st. 31st at portland.gov/SafeRide25 or on Safe Ride home flyers that will be up at many bars and locations serving alcohol on New Year's Eve. Again, go to portland.gov/SafeRide25 for $10 off your Uber or Lyft trip home on New Year's Eve. Help us all ring in the new year safely. Please don't drink and drive. All right, we're back. John, what did you think was the biggest headline of the year?
Yeah, I mean, this is less of a moment in time than a year-long trend of stories, but I think we got to talk about the city's push to combat unsheltered homelessness. Obviously, this is a story and an issue that has been present in our community for years and years, but this was the first year of the Keith Wilson administration as mayor. He entered office in January, and he made this big public pledge in his campaign to end unsheltered homelessness by the 1st of December of this year. The way that he focused on that once he got into office, he said, well, we're going to create more shelter beds. We're aiming for 1,500 new emergency overnight shelter beds that are going to be put together and opened in this city. And earlier this month, he declared victory. He said he'd gotten 1,566 beds online across the city over the course of the year. There is a little bit of once you get into the numbers, you can say, well, some of them are flex beds, so they're not technically open. But it was still this huge initiative, and it took a ton of work. You guys might remember at a certain point during the year, there was a huge amount of community opposition to opening of some of these shelters. I think specifically the Northrop shelter in the Pearl faced a huge amount of neighborhood opposition before it opened. But the city put a lot of work in meeting with the community. And this was a story that I'd missed until I went back and researched it. In October, the president of the Northwest District Association told KGW, basically once it had already opened, it was going really well. He said, quote, I think right now we're seeing good things and we want to continue. I've been critical from the get-go. And to our surprise, the city has lived up to a lot of what they said they were going to do. So yeah, I mean, the other hand of opening all these shelters was getting a little bit more tough on camping across the city, kind of signaled a move away from just widespread tolerance of camping in public spaces. And the city did reinstate a camping ban after years of sort of attempts and legal challenges. Portland resumed enforcing a camping ordinance on November 1st. The city was clear they were going to focus on outreach and connecting people with shelter. And, we are still just in the very early phases of getting numbers from that. But as of December 7th, the city had issued 388 warnings about camping, 20 citations, 65 arrests, but they say none of those were actually about camping. They were all for other charges. The city also said that 111 people had accepted offer of shelter. So big attempt from the city, by the numbers, a lot of success. But I think the big question now is just where do we go from here? Obviously, unsheltered homelessness has continued to rise in the city. And there's a lot of advocates saying that this push for shelters isn't actually addressing the underlying issue for a whole host of reasons. But I mean, it has been the big push of city leadership so far this year. And it's something that we've talked about a lot on the show. And I'm sure in 2026, we're going to continue talking about this pretty regularly.
Yeah. The thing that really stuck out to me throughout the past few months with this issue just developing the way that it did was how it opened up dialogue in a way that I'd never seen before. I feel like it must have been around November when the camping ban was being reinstated. There was also a conversation led by Councilor Murillo at City Hall where her hope was to take away some of the funding related to camp sweeps. And I watched a part of that meeting, and there were a couple of folks that showed up who at some point were homeless or were currently homeless. And there was such an interesting discussion about what camp sweeps actually do. And on one hand, it was this forced me into a better situation. On another hand, it was this is my home. And I think altogether, I know the mayor is doing what he can to address the unsheltered homelessness side of things. And city council is moving quickly to try to better fund more permanent options. And it has to be this combined effort. But I do really appreciate that dialogue is happening and that we're able to see both sides of things in a different way while this is happening.
I always wondered why 1,500 beds.
Yeah.
And you actually talking this through made the connection for me. And I think it's because legally at that point, then they could enforce the camping ban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was what was in the way. And now we have the numbers to say, oh, we can provide them reasonable shelter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't, more thought into this, but it just hit me. I was like, oh, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, the idea was to end unsheltered homelessness. And then we got into the mechanics of it. And I'm just like, I'm curious what the steps were here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it was. Because as soon as the beds went online, we were enforcing camping bans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those two things happened simultaneously.
Mhm.
And there is still plenty of criticism that like overnight shelters, which to be clear, this is not like 24-hour places where people live. These are overnight shelters that then the people who stay there are back out on the streets in the morning, is an incremental step in the sort of grand array of plans to end unsheltered homelessness. But it's where the city put a lot of efforts and a lot of money and funding into this year. The big question that I'm sort of looking ahead to is like, what is the long-term plan to fund our homeless prevention programs in the city? And I feel like that is something that is still going to need to be worked out between the city and the county in the years ahead.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, one of our contributors, Brian Vance, who is the founder of Stumptown Savings and a notable citizen of Montevilla.
You might know him as Brian from Montevilla. Yeah.
Brian from Montevilla. He sent us a tape because he has his own most memorable moment. So here he is next.
For me, one of the most memorable moments of 2025 actually happened in early November when the Trump administration shut down SNAP benefits for the country during the government shutdowns. We actually saw a bunch of restaurants, organizations, and individuals step up to ensure that their neighbors did not go hungry during this immensely stressful time. I think it was a sign of the community aspect that, is a highlight of Portland, that so many people were stepping up to ensure that their neighbors didn't go hungry, that people were stepping in to fill the role that honestly the federal government has an obligation to fill. And it's a sign of just this bigger trend that's happened in Portland over the past couple of years, which is doubling down on community and doubling down on really stepping up for one another. And for me, that was just a hallmark of 2025.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I think back to the pandemic and just the motions and that were made in mutual aid across the city was something that we have really sort of taken to as a community. And it's something that I'm personally really proud of, that there are so many Portlanders that are willing to help each other out when things really get tough. I think that's one of the things that makes this place so great.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And way better than Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's
Not that there's another show that we are in competition with. No, of course not.
We are not in competition with Seattle. Oh, no.
This
Just
goes
the
beyond the
city
show.
itself. We love I love Jane. I love that show. Seattle, the city, though. All right. We're going to take another quick break here. And when we come back, it's my turn. We're hitting the last few weeks of the holiday season, and if you're still shopping for presents like I am, consider giving the gift of comfort and classic style. Dewar's denim and clothing is engineered for movement and versatility. Their high-quality garments and their jeans are made with this temperature-regulating Coolmax fabric that keeps you warm but doesn't overheat you if you end up having to bike across town. Dewar is trying to be your all-day pants, eliminating the need to dress up or down for whatever you have going on in your schedule. Grab a pair for yourself or as a thoughtful gift at their shop on Northwest 23rd or hit them up online. And if you mention our promo code CCPDX, you'll get 15% off your first order. Check them out at shopdoer.com/CCPDX. That's shopdoer.com/CCPDX for 15% off your first purchase. It was kind of difficult to pick just one single, this was the biggest moment we had collectively as a city, because as we discussed, so much happened this year. When we were all talking about this, getting ready for the show, I remember we brought up the Swifts straight up disappearing from the Chapman Elementary School and moving to Abernathy as a contender.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, John?
Oh, yeah.
Or Justin Timberlake. I just remember this. Justin Timberlake joined the Alameda Elementary School Portland bike bus.
Yeah, that was this year?
It was.
Yes.
It was January 12th. That's what it feels like. It was like last year or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That actually happened, you guys. JT was here.
Justin Timberlake put out a new record?
No, he just rode his bike in Portland.
No, he just rode his bike.
But if I had to really pinpoint what I thought was one of the biggest headlines, we consistently kept going back to throughout the year and just adding and adding on to, it has to be the city of Portland transitioning to its new form of government. Just that transition to power, the very workings of our new mayor and city council trying their very best to figure out our city's new charter, which we just found out wasn't fully detailed. Like, I guess there was a lot of like, and
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, wait, So they were doing this all while trying to get us out of the worst budget deficit the city has seen in a decade. So I know we've given our city like a lot of guff because this is what we do. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? A lot got done. And they had so much in their way. If you think about it, the reason it feels like 10 years is because so much happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A big part of it is because of our new form of government. It's actually kind of working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also just wanted to highlight what might have been one of the most dramatic moments that came out of this new form of city government. And I'm going to have a little help here from Althea Billings, one of our frequent Roundup contributors and the news director for KBOO, because this was her pick for Portland's single biggest moment this year.
Okay, so one of my most memorable Portland stories of 2025 had to be the drama of the city council meetings balancing the budget in May. And now that doesn't sound that sexy or interesting, but let me set the scene, okay? It's a marathon council meeting. We're talking 10, 12, 15 hours long, sweating it out, trying to figure out what to cut to balance the city budget, which had like a record amount of tens of millions of dollars missing. Mayor Wilson's office didn't make suggestions as to what all of those cuts should be, so city council had a lot of work to do. The parks budget, our beloved parks, were set to take a lot of painful cuts to basic maintenance right before the summer season. So the evening is waning, right? And Council President Alana Pertolgini warns the councilors that they have to wrap it up by midnight out of respect for city staff. And she's the one that has the control over which amendments are heard. There's 120 or something. There's one of them from Councilor Candace Avalos that hasn't been brought forward yet. Amendment Avalos 2 would move $2 million marked for the Portland Police Bureau to the Parks Department so they can keep picking up trash or whatever. And this $2 million for police wasn't money that they asked for in their budget or said that they needed for a particular purpose, but it was just marked for police anyway. But this hasn't come up, right? And it's the end of the night. So Pertolgini wants to close the meeting. She says, I'll entertain a motion to close discussion. Shutting it down. Nothing else is making it through. Counselor Samir Canal jumps in. So motion. Counselor Eric Zimmerman seconds. Okay, you motion. Counselor Canal, the floor is yours. And then he goes, I'd like to rescind my motion and cede my time to Counselor Avalos. It's possible I'm not making this sound as hype as it was. To me, insanely hype. Pertolgini, exasperated. Zimmerman, confused. Didn't he second it? Doesn't he have a say? Nope. The rules say that he doesn't have a say. And Avalos brings forward her amendment. Somewhere in all of this, I don't remember if it was during this exchange or previous, but they asked Police Chief Bob Day what this unasked for $2 million would go to, and if they move it, like, what's going to happen? And by now, he's on the meeting on Zoom at home in his pajamas in his kitchen. And they're like, what do we do about this? What's going to happen to the police, Bob Day, if we take this? And he's like, I don't know what it's going to go towards, but it would be an issue if you guys took it away.
Sorry.
The amendment ends up passing 7-5, and as a result, we got to have working street lamps in the park over the summer. Yay. Yes. Politics, parliamentary maneuvers. Can you tell I was a political science major in college? That's my moment. Thanks, CityCast.
So well done.
Yeah.
I am now spending my time thinking about Bob Day's pajamas and wondering, like, what he wears to sleep in. Are they footy pajamas?
Yeah.
Maybe they're like flannel pajamas that have like little sheriff badges all over them.
Oh, that would be really cute. Sheriff badges, though.
You know what I mean? Just,
Yeah.
just a little cosplay.
I definitely... He's cosplaying the chief of police in his sleep. Cosplays as the sheriff is what Julia
Let
saying.
the man dream.
Do what you love. No, I love this anecdote because it just sort of shows like the wildness and the wackiness of what our city government can be like sometimes. And just like the figuring out of how all of this works. Like you mentioned, Claudia, I think that so much of this year has sort of been like, all right, we have this radically new form of government that like we haven't really piloted before. It's like, how do we drive this thing? How do we actually get things done? What are the maneuvers that we can do?
Mm-hmm.
And I think until we started trying to pass laws and trying to like get things done, nobody really knew the answers to these things. So yes, as a fellow political nerd, it has been sort of fascinating watching that process take place alongside just the business of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that that's going to be a big story coming this new year, 2026, because I feel like this was the perfect first episode for season 1 of our government.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But we
Yeah.
ended on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
We're just like, okay, we got the beds. Now there's an ethics committee. It's escalating because they're thinking that our city council might be too good.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, I'm sorry. That's a lot of coordination that's happening here.
Yeah.
And we are still waiting on ruling from the Ninth Circuit Court about federal troops in Portland.
Yep.
So that is a cliffhanger as well.
So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is like when the Stranger Things soundtrack comes in, like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
I don't know what would be the soundtrack to Portland. I mean, it cannot be. Julia, stop.
Okay, fine. I won't talk about Portlandia.
Julia's weird. It's just, I think it's an age thing. Julia's at an age where she thinks what we lived through is cool, John. And so she's just like, this is so funny. Soon she's going to be wearing like skin tight pants and like, you know what I mean? Shirts that like do not cover her stomach.
Yeah.
That'll be the day.
No finger mustache tattoos. That is my advice to the
no.
youths. That was a bad idea.
Julia, don't do it.
It's not my New Year's resolution, I promise.
Oh, man. Well, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. We want to hear from you. What was, in your opinion, the biggest moment of 2025 for Portland? If it's personal, I want to hear it. You know?
Yeah. Let us know.
What was your biggest moment?
Hmm.
Portland@citycast.fm. Well, thanks so much, guys. And I think this is it. I think this is our last show for a little bit, right?
Yeah, we're going to be off for the rest of the week doing holiday stuff. Hope y'all are doing holiday stuff too. And then we will be back on the 29th.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
See ya.
Up next, Ivan Hernandez from the Oregon Food Bank is talking with Claudia about hunger impacting Oregonians and how you can help.
You know, Yvonne, we had someone on the show from the Oregon Food Bank last week, but for those who still might not be familiar, can you give us a quick overview of what the Oregon Food Bank does?
Yeah, no, thank you for having us again. At Oregon Food Bank, we work with partners all across the state, including 1,200 food pantries and free food locations to get people the food they need. We're available and open to everybody who needs food. So that's just part of our work. But our main goal is to end hunger for good in Oregon. We know that the only way that we can do that is by changing the systems and changing the policies that are causing hunger, right? So when we talk about how expensive rent is, when we talk about how expensive healthcare can be, when we talk about how safety nets such as SNAP have been cut, all those are having huge impacts. And the only way that we can end hunger for good is if we change the systems that cause hunger and poverty in the first place.
Right. And aren't you guys working on something policy-wise that might be going up? Are you able to speak about it freely now? Or is that still in the works?
Yeah, we are working on something. In this upcoming legislative session 2026, we'll be introducing what we call the anti-hunger package.
Mm-hmm.
It'll include things such as providing school meals for all kids, regardless of who their parents are or what their home situation is. So where they'll be able to have free school breakfast and lunch. We'll have a package that's going to reinforce SNAP for those who lost it due to the federal policy HR 1. We're going to have a policy that's going to support Oregonians, specifically immigrants, refugees, and other folks who lost benefits, again, due to HR 1, and a few other policies that will be on there. And we're really excited to debut that. And you'll be able to find more information on our website here shortly.
Right. So it's important work that you're doing. And it's also good to hear that the policy work that you're working on, because, you guys would know exactly what needs to happen since this is your world. But we are hearing more and more that hunger is touching people who never expected to face it. So from your perspective, what does hunger really look like in Oregon right now?
Yeah. Last year alone, we saw hunger increase in our network by over 31%. And it's only gone up this year. So we saw a record number of visits, 2.9 million visits to our food assistance sites in Oregon and Southwest Washington. And we're seeing folks, like you mentioned, that might have never experienced hunger before. And unfortunately, the folks who have experienced hunger, throughout their lives or long term are also still experiencing it. So it's not looking good on the policy side. In July, the Congress passed HR 1, which is going to have the largest SNAP cuts in history. And that's going to leave hundreds of thousands of Oregonians without that lifeline. And that's something that is going to increase hunger even more. Last year, we also saw that the federal government withheld 20% of our food that they usually donated to us. And we're at a time where we're getting less federal support and where more people are needing food. So it's becoming really challenging. And this legislative session that's coming up in 2026, we're really going to need Oregon to step up and fill in that gap. And when I mean Oregon, I mean the legislature, but also our communities that have started to step up or have continued to step up.
Right. For those who are listening to you right now and thinking, okay, so what can I do? What are the most meaningful ways that people can get involved with the Oregon Food Bank or in their own communities?
Yeah, there's many ways. But honestly, financial support is always welcome for folks who can. We know not everybody can, so we offer different things. We offer opportunity to get involved with us from an advocacy perspective. We offer volunteer opportunities, which don't take money. But if for folks who can, we need all the financial support that we can. Like I said, we're filling in a gap that the federal government is no longer filling. So we need all the support from our community, and they can go donate at OregonFoodBank.org/support.
Awesome. Well, Yvonne, thanks for being here. And thank you so much for all the work that you do.
No, we appreciate it and appreciate the community for stepping up during these times.
Check out OregonFoodBank.org/support to learn more. That's OregonFoodBank.org/support. We'll have that link for you in our show notes as well, so you're just a click away. Thanks again for listening.
Well, that's all for us today here on CityCast Portland, but thank you so much for listening. Our podcast production team this week was Giulia Fiaoni, Shannon Lynch, Lizzie Goldsmith, and myself. Our newsletter editors were Rachel Monahan and Adrian Gonzalez, and our host is Claudia Meza. I'm executive producer John Notarianni. Original music by Jenny Conley and Stephen Drisos. Additional music by All the Kimonos, as well as Sarah the Instrumentalist, Timothy Infinite, and Gregory David, courtesy of Epidemic Sound, alongside Opal 99 and D-May, courtesy of Triple Scoop Music. We're taking a few days off for the holidays, but we'll be back on Monday the 29th with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.